Oh, hey everybody. Nice being with you. Sitting here at home, kind of bored. Thought I'd shoot a little thing for you. Got a film for you tonight. Always talking film around here, right? Around my household, film is, well, everything. So let's get going. The film we've got tonight is, the title that you're going to see it under is called The Crawling Eye, 1958. The original title was The Trollenberg Terror. It's a British production. It's an interesting film. I really was taken by much of this science fiction film. It deals with, well, a Swiss Alps situation, the Trollenberg Mountains, I'm guessing, where some kind of strange cloud formation appears and mountaineers start losing their heads. Starts off really interestingly with one of them losing their heads right away. And it turns out that, well, this has happened before somewhere in the Andes, and this happening again and being sort of an occurrence that does cause a little bit of a ruckus, calls in Forrest Tucker, the American in this film. Remember Forrest Tucker from other great films? He was in The Snow Creature. And of course, we know him in the F Troop, one of the great roles that he had. And he comes in to investigate this, seeing if it should be turned over to the UN Special Forces, because I'm not going to go too far into what these things are and what they do, okay, and what they sort of mean. But keep an eye on these clouds. Really interesting. This film was directed by Quentin Lawrence. Quentin Lawrence was a television director in England, and he had actually made a television version of this a couple years earlier called The Trollenberg Terror, and it was a serialized television show. You might know him for The Avengers. If you watch The Avengers, he directed a number of those episodes. The film was written by a very interesting guy, Jimmy Sangster. Jimmy Sangster, you might remember him as being sort of the man who gave the bite to the early Hammer horror films, Horror of Dracula, Revenge of Frankenstein, and The Mummy. He penned those films, and of course they are the foundation of that great Hammer series that come out of the late 50s and go through the 60s and into the early 70s. He also, of course, became a director of some note himself, and one of the more interesting films that he directed was Lust for a Vampire. I think you're going to enjoy this film, Trollenberg Terror. The special effects are kind of interesting, especially towards the end when things start getting crawling eye-like. You wonder where that crawling eye title comes from. Well, it comes from something nearer to the end. Otherwise, it should have been called Floating Cloud or something like that, because it's this big cloud stuck on the side of the mountain. It sort of dives down slowly and wreaks havoc upon people. There's also an interesting little angle with psychics in here. Something about it. When these cloud formations occur, there pops up a psychic who seems to be able to see what's going to happen ahead of time, and that becomes a threat to the clouds. And they have to send out some emissaries, or zombies, if you will, to sort of take care of it. Forrest Tucker does a nice job in this film. He doesn't really eat the scenery too much. Warren Mitchell, who plays the doctor, Professor Cravette, in this film, I look at it every once in a while. You know, every once in a while you look at this and you kind of go, look quickly, and you look, you know. Every time I did that, you know, with him, he sort of looked like a Groucho Marx type of guy. You know, Groucho later on when he had his own mustache, sort of like Bet Your Life period. Kept looking like Groucho to me. I hope, you know, I'm not alone on that. Maybe I'm a little bit wacky, but hey, I kind of like that angle. Groucho Marx in a science fiction film playing a prestigious professor. Well, have fun with The Crawling Eye. I certainly did. There's some, you know, when you think about mountain films, and that's one of the things that when I was watching this, I was thinking, gosh, this kind of fits into a certain subgenre of action or horror or science fiction, or another genre unto itself that somebody might argue, mountain climbing films. Think of the Eiger Sanction, you think of films like even Lost Horizons, you think of films like the Vertical Limit or The Mountain with Spencer Tracy. Well, nobody even talks about this Trollenberg Terror. Now, I've seen some stuff written on mountain climbing films. They don't talk about this. Why? Seems to be a great omission. I think that our job tonight is to rectify that omission. This film fits squarely into mountain climbing films. Likewise fits squarely into the mountain climbing science fiction hybrid. Shoot me an email. Glad to hear from you. Crawling Eye. What a great title. Crawling Eye. I mean, what the heck? You know, when you think about it, how can an eye crawl? But when you watch this movie, I think that will be answered for you. Let's roll and smoke it.